What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz Angle. My name is Ryan Linkletter. I'm here with Dan Loya. Dan, Thursday Night Football, Week 8. Basically, Thursday Night Football every single week of the season has been chaotic. It's been great football, and there's been a lot of upsets. That is a great combination for the viewership numbers and great for us to have a lot of talking points the day after. Heading into this matchup, it feels like both these teams are on a similar path right now. Both are playoff teams in 2024. Both have had their lumps this season, with the Chargers coming more as of late and the Vikings just being inconsistent in general. They both find themselves right around the 500 mark. Dan, heading into this matchup, what are you looking at?
Yeah, well, first, let me start off with these past few weeks of Thursday Night Football have been insane. I don't know about you guys, but I've been getting my teeth kicked in with these picks on Thursday night. I don't know what it is. I don't know, it's something in the water. It's no preparation for coaches, but it's been wild. It's been entertaining to watch. And then if you want to know a plan for Thursday night, just bet the opposite of us both. Okay, so that's
Yes,
that's the secret.
exactly.
That's the only
Exactly.
thing that's consistent. All right. But we're taking a break from conference matchups. We got a inter-conference little rivalry here with Minnesota and the Chargers. All time, Minnesota's 8-7, so they got a one-game advantage with this matchup, and I'm excited. Both good teams. Both are desperate for a win, and I think it's gonna be a good game. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one for sure. And I think it's definitely going to be even more interesting. Khalil Mack's now back for the Chargers, and now they
Yeah,
might potentially get Joe Alt back, who's logged two straight limited practices. I'm not
big.
100% sure that he goes just because it's a short week, and maybe they just wait one more week to get him back. But it looks like there's a real chance that he is playing. That's a significant boost for that team in general, getting Joe Alt back, but for an offensive line that's allowed the most quarterback hits this year uh, for Justin Herbert, which is not ideal when trying to protect your franchise quarterback. But the
Yeah.
Chargers are starting to get healthier. The Vikings, on the other hand, no J.J. McCarthy this weekend. It'll be Carson Wentz, despite McCarthy logging limited practices. They're leaning on the side of caution with him. But last week, the interesting stat for me, Dan, offensive net success rating typically tells us whether or not a team significantly outplayed another, regardless of the win or loss. Obviously, the Jaguars versus the Chiefs was a crazy one a few weeks ago where it was significantly different. Last week, Chiefs versus Raiders, significantly different. Do you want to know the game? And we talked about it this weekend, the game where it had the highest net success rate for a losing team.
What is it? Minnesota?
It's the Minnesota Vikings. They
Yeah.
thoroughly outplayed the Eagles on a per play basis last weekend, but they wound up with a loss because the Eagles had three big plays that completely changed the course of the game. But it is what it is. Like, the Vikings outplayed the Eagles last week, and I think a lot of people are down on the Vikings because they're not as dominant as they were last year. But Brian Flores and this defense are still pretty good. And with what Los Angeles is committed to, which is the highest neutral pass rate in the NFL nowadays, right? They're going to throw the ball a lot. Minnesota has been very good. If anything, their strength is their secondary. And I know Jalen Hurts had a big day in terms of box score numbers last week and EPA and all that stuff. But like I said, it was three big throws over the top that changed the course of that game. And I think Minnesota's strength is their pass defense versus a team that passes a lot. And I think that's a key matchup for me that I'm looking at. What are you looking at in terms of key matchups heading into this one?
Well, I just want to add on to it because what you said, because just watching that game over Minnesota and Philadelphia, Minnesota was really in that game, and it was just like you
Yeah.
said, it was like three plays. Minnesota just happened to make three mistakes in the secondary, and the Eagles capitalized. Just you got to give hats off to them. I mean, in the fourth quarter of that game, it was 21-16. It was a close game. It was
Yeah.
a close game, and then I mean, there was just so many mistakes. Carson Wentz missed a lot of throws. Obviously, the interceptions, but there's two TDs that well, let's see, three. Minnesota scored three touchdowns, but Hawkinson, it was reviewed no catch. You got Jefferson, he dropped that ball. He should have catched. When you ever see Jefferson ever bring in a ball like that? And then
Yeah.
also they had Jordan Mason scored a touchdown and got called back for holding. So it was just they had their chances, they had their opportunities, and that's how you lose a game, just like that. So I really think this is gonna be a bounce back game for Minnesota. I think they're gonna respond well to that loss. I think the main thing I'm looking at is overall the Chargers offense. It's ranked in the lower half of the NFL in the red zone. So against this Minnesota team, you should be able to move the ball. But notoriously, with Brian Flores' defense, with New England and even in Minnesota, it's just a bend don't break defense. So they'll let you drive down the field, but instead of you scoring touchdowns, you're going to take 3 points. So I think this is going to come into play tonight. The Chargers, wherever you look, they're either 31st or 32nd in the red zone. So they can't. They're having trouble scoring touchdowns right now. And then Minnesota is ranks pretty good in the red zone. They're currently fourth in scoring defense with the red zone defense of squad. So that's going to be the key to game. If the Chargers can score touchdowns, they're going to win. But if Minnesota, which like I said, they're ranked fourth on the season, if they can hold them to 3 points, they're going to win. So that's what I'm keying in on Thursday night.
Yeah, and I think another matchup, let's kind of flip the sides of the ball there. The Minnesota Vikings offense, I think the quarterback play is what it is this year. I think it's safe to say it's
Yeah.
not been good, right? It's just been inconsistent, bad play. Both Carson Wentz and JJ McCarthy aren't processing the field well. They made a ton of turnover plays this year in general, right? And this is kind of the situation where this team finds themselves. And obviously, the offensive line has had a ton of injuries. They've been bad at times this year, right? And it's definitely contributed to worse quarterback play. But the offensive line is starting to get relatively healthy. They're performing a little bit better as of late. My key is the running game, though. This Chargers team has really struggled against the run, and you saw it last week against the Colts with Jonathan Taylor having a field day. Jordan Mason increased his snap share last week to 75%. They are giving him a bell cow workload, and this is a much better matchup than Philly running against him. I like Jordan Mason to have a nice day, and I think that it should open up some stuff for this passing game. Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison have both been really good over the last 3 weeks. I see both of them having nice days against this Chargers secondary where they're solid, but I don't think they match up with Addison and Jefferson outside very well. So that's a plus matchup for them. And I think if they run the ball well, it'll open up those guys even more. And that's when they can play ahead of the sticks. If they're, you know, if they're allowing Justin Herbert to move the ball up and down the field, settling for field goals potentially, like you mentioned, and this offense stalls out, that's going to make the Chargers feel even more confident that they're going to go down there and score points. If you are scoring touchdowns on 10 play drives, focusing on Jordan Mason and allowing the Chargers to settle for field goals. This Chargers team has shown over the last few weeks they're frustrated right now. They've been going through it, and it feels like the pressure is starting to build in Los Angeles after 2 weeks. Everybody was crowning them Super Bowl champs, Justin Herbert MVP. It feels honestly like a little bit of Chargers regression. And I think if you take it to that team a little bit early, the frustration show. And it started to show a little bit last week against the Colts for sure when they got down early in that one, despite them trying to find a way to fight back. So the key to the Minnesota's offensive success, it runs through Jordan Mason. What are your thoughts, Dan?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I always harp on it in all these videos is you gotta be able to run the football, impose your will, because they'll just open everything up. And then Kevin O'Connell, that's what they want to do. First, I want to give a shout out to you and the Blitz Sports Media team because I know in August you guys were calling for Jordan Mason. You guys were real big on Jordan Mason, and I know
I'm a
he's looked
Jordan
good
Mason
this year.
truther.
Yeah, that's right. So, I always forget to give you guys a shout out. I got to give you some love there. You guys are one of the first to really believe in the guy. So Jordan Mason, yeah, I think he should have a good game. They're gonna need him on Thursday night because it'll just open everything up. But I want to add on here, since the Chargers started off 3-0, undefeated on the season, in their last 4 games, they're 1-3. They're 1-3, and they haven't played I guess like heavyweights in the NFL. They lost to the Giants, obviously. They lost to the Commanders. They almost lost to the Dolphins. If it wasn't for Herbert's heroics in Miami,
Yeah.
they would have lost that game too. And then obviously the Colts. The Colts are probably the one heavyweight they did lose to, and yeah, they got their butts kicked last week. So they're limping into this game. 1-3. They're hurt. They're missing offensive linemen. That'd be a key if Joe Alt plays. That'd be huge because they
That'd be
really miss him.
massive for them.
Yeah, that changes their offense, but they're still down running backs. Herbert's still he's taking way too many hits right now. He's taken 3+ sacks in 4 games this season, and I could argue it could be more. It's just Herbert breaks them. He's awesome. Herbert's amazing, and he just breaks tackles. He's able to escape the pocket. So I'm curious what this Chargers offense is going to look like, but I'm kind of worried about it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. This will be a good test for both teams. All right, Dan, let's get into it. Prediction time. Who are you picking? What are your favorite bets for this one and why?
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I go back and forth on this one because it's just Thursday night. We're on a losing skid here at Blitz.
We are on a
But
losing skid.
so it's tough. But I mean, this is gonna be a close game. But I went with. All right. First, food for thought. I did some research here. So through week 7, the home teams are 5-2 Thursday night. That's including the opening night with the Eagles and Cowboys. Also, underdogs are 5-2 against the spread. So
Mm,
it's either home teams or dogs, okay? But we got the home team's favored in this matchup. So it's kind of tearing me back and forth here. In this matchup, I went with Minnesota. Okay, I just think, in my opinion, the NFC conference is better than the AFC. That's just what I believe in right now. There's some good teams. Minnesota should have beat Philadelphia last week. Like you said, they outgained them. They played really well. If it wasn't for 3 mistakes on defense, who knows what happens. Jalen Hurts was under a lot of pressure last week, and he's stoic in the pocket, and he just didn't get sacked. So I'm going with Minnesota. My score is going to be 24-21, or sorry, 24-20. 24-20 Minnesota. Uh, I think I really want Jordan Mason to get that run game going, but I also look at Jordan Addison, 110 receiving yards the last 2 of 3 games. So I would take his over. Also, Justin Jefferson, 75 plus receiving yards in 5 straight games. So I look at those 2 receivers. I would take their overs Thursday night, but I'm gonna take Minnesota in a close game.
yeah, I am actually riding the Minnesota underdog trail as well. I've learned my lesson. I am going with the underdog in this one. And while the other ones were spreads of like 7 points, this one's obviously a little bit closer. But the thing is like Minnesota's defense, I think, matches up really well with what the Chargers offense is doing right now. And regardless of if Joe Alt plays or not, the exotic pressures that Brian Flores brings, as well as a
Yeah.
strong secondary, it's a very tough matchup for a team that passes the ball like they do. And I think that they're going to have some struggles offensively. I think defensively, it'll be a low scoring game. I think the Chargers defense will match up well with the Vikings. But like I said, Jordan Mason, I think, is going to be an X factor in this matchup and should have a nice day. So I am going to ride with the Minnesota Vikings in this one. 23, Dan, 23-20. They're going to take it home. The
Oh,
Chargers fall to 4-4. I I think it'll be interesting for sure to kind of see how this one plays out. But bets that I like, I'm going with 2 player props here. And I also do indeed like an alternate spread potential of the Minnesota Vikings over 3.5 points. We will see though. I haven't officially went with that one, but I know I predicted 23-20, but I think a +3.5 or -3.5 Minnesota Vikings might be an absolute value for you guys. I think though, player prop wise, I like Jordan Mason anytime touchdown. I also like Jordan Mason over on yards, as I've alluded to already. And the one guy on the Chargers I really like in this matchup is Quentin Johnston. Uh, the Minnesota secondary has really struggled against bigger receivers this year. And with QJ healthy, we saw him had a solid role last week. Reception totals are only at 3.5 right now. I think that's kind of low. I have him over. Plus EV has him over as well. So I think Quentin Johnson over on receptions looks pretty good entering that matchup. All in all, though, guys, appreciate you guys tuning into this episode of the Blitz Angle. Drop a comment down below what your predictions are for Thursday night. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and me and Dan will catch you guys next time.